So we are live with Asad and Hana. This is going to be a fireside chat looking at the future of volumetric capture and how that relates to live performance, streaming, and interactive media generally. So just to get started, I'd love if you both could give a quick 1-minute introduction of who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm Hana. I'm a musician, a songwriter, singer, a streamer, and I have toured the world. I've worked on a couple different video games as well, doing music for them. And now in quarantine, I've been spending most of my time on my live stream channel on Twitch.
Sweet. Yeah, so I'm Asad, and this is my second time at Games for Change. Last time we were there with a project called Terminal 3 that we were showing on the HoloLens. But basically, I have an augmented reality studio, and we produce a lot of narrative storytelling kind of content. But more recently, we've put out this app called Jadu, and that has kind of been the focus of our work recently, and that's also how I know Hana, because Hana worked with us on Jadu. We built a hologram for her. I'm sure we can talk more about that.
Definitely. But I do want to pick kind of right back up there. Could you briefly give a quick description of the difference between Onric and Jadu, just to kind of set that tone?
Sure. Yeah, we're still having a hard time like deciding what the difference is, but basically, the way I think about it is that Onric has been the studio that's been producing a lot of these different projects over the years. And at this point, Jadu, we think of it as more than just another project that we're doing. It's more of a long-term product almost. So the easiest way to think about it is that Jadu is a product from Onric. That is kind of our priority now. Yeah. And
with Jadu, could you give us a little grounding in what volumetric capture is and what specifically the app, how the app uses that technology?
Yeah, so almost every single project that we've done over the last couple of years has engaged in volumetric recording in one way or the other. But essentially the idea is that, you know, you're capturing video, but you're capturing video that also has depth. That's the most basic fundamental idea of volumetric video. You know, so the first project that we did, we were using DepthKit at the time, which was using a Microsoft Connect, and essentially just had one camera capturing video, and then the video, every pixel also had a depth property because we were also capturing depth from the Connect. But now what we do is we work with Metastage. We have a really close partnership with them, and we use the volumetric capture system there with 106 cameras. That is infrared cameras and regular video cameras. And it captures around 10 gigabytes of data per second. And then all of that is basically brought in, and we create 15-second clips of different musicians. And on Jadu, basically, people can place those volumetric clips into their surroundings and then get in the video and actually record performances. And the end result looks like a video in which the user is performing with an artist that they really like or look up to.
Amazing. And Hana, you've had the unique experience of actually having yourself recorded volumetrically. What's that process like?
Oh my God, it was so fun. It was, I really had no idea what it was going to be like. I had seen some other people's holograms, but I didn't know what the experience was going to be like. So showing up to Metastage, it went inside this like green space with tons of cameras, and it was just so fun working on what the content should be. Really, you know, like fun thinking about interactive ways, thinking about if a fan was right next to me, what would they want to be doing with me. I think the biggest thing that we worked on was really hair. Like, you know, like things that so like hair is hard, especially with someone with with so much hair, which I usually am flinging around. So that was the main thing that we had to focus on, but the rest was just like very organic, easy, and it was just a blast. You know, it took like 0.1 second to get the snapshot of my body, which just blew me away. Like a 3D version of myself, just like that. It was so insane. And then having the hologram come out right when I got home after my tour had been canceled. That was something that was really exciting to be able to experience with my fans, and be able to say, hey, I could literally come over to your house right now, so download this app and see what that's like. It was really cool.
And what was I mean, you referenced the creative workarounds with hair, but also what was, I mean, you sort of referenced that creative process in getting this 15-second bite, given a three-dimensional bite, but a 15-second bite where it'll be really engaging for your fans. Like, what was that creative process, and what was the decision making, and what was that? Were you collaborating with a group of people? Were you and Asad chatting that through? What was that process?
Yeah, it was definitely the two of us. Thinking about the song, first of all, the song is kind of an angsty, it's about mental health ultimately. It's like an angsty yet confident song. So I was trying to have kind of like a Spice Girls moment with my hologram, and so I can't remember if it was Asad or me, but we came up with a kick, and I just loved that idea of having people, you know, continue to try to make videos where I'm kicking them in the face, which ended up being exactly what all of the videos were, which was so fun and just funny to see.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to hear. Oh, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, you know, like a lot of the work we've done in the past, it's a lot more scripted, or it's a lot more documentary-like, and you're kind of just allowing to happen. You're capturing a lot of material and then cutting it up. But Jadu shoots are just very different because we're only working with 15 seconds, and we're not capturing a long take and then cutting the right 15 seconds. We're just really capturing those 15 seconds. So I think that, you know, there's, on one hand, one would think that there's not that much you can do with 15 seconds, but I think with the fact that you can do different outfits, the fact that there's a different song, there's a different world of the song, there's like a certain, you know, visual universe around it, and then this idea that the viewer can now do things with it. It's not just this 15-second clip, but it's going to lead to user-generated content. I feel like all those elements really lead to a very quick, like, creatively satisfying process of just coming up with, okay, what is this 15-second thing? And it happens really quickly. You know, you just usually know when you hit it. So we usually do a couple of takes and let the artist just do what's coming naturally, and then start tweaking it a bit, and then you end up with a final take. And, you know, almost every single time, everyone just looks at each other and like, yep, that's the one. And yeah, so that's like really satisfying, and being able to do it with, you know, a lot of different artists, and allowing them to have the creative space to, you know, come up with whatever they want in terms of performances, and just injecting some ideas or nudging in different direction. That's kind of what my role ends up being. And as I said, it's just really nice because they're always so different as well. And with Hana, like that's the thing, right? Like we came up, every time we like to think, okay, what's the interactive bit here? What can the viewer be doing? And with Hana, the biggest thing was that kick at the end. And, you know, like we had planned for, we were like, okay, people are going to make videos and they're going to be kicked in the face. And it's just, yeah, as Hana said, that's exactly what happened. We didn't have to like somehow orchestrate that too much. People got it at once. They're like, okay, she's kicking. I better get kicked. And that's kind of how it happened.
It was really fun as someone who now I'm appreciating it more since touring and shows is going to be far, far off. That level of interaction where I can actually see the fan, they're interacting with my hologram. It feels like a live show. Whereas, you know, I've been streaming lately, doing a lot of concerts and DJ sets where I'm right here and I'm basically just looking at a bunch of equipment, you know? And so that's what I really enjoyed about the hologram, and still enjoy, because I still get videos every day of people with the hologram. And I love being able to see my fan interacting with me, you know, whereas here I'm just, you know, interacting with the chat and a camera and looking at myself.
Yeah, and you know, Jesse, I'm sure you've heard me say these things before, but when we did Terminal 3 and Justice Tale, like conceptually speaking, the things that were emerging from the AR work were really things like presence, or, you know, this idea that someone leaves their ghostly presence in a space after you place their hologram. Like, I've been saying these things for years, and I think now this project isn't that conceptual, you know, it's just like people having fun, but you see how those concepts still come through in a really meaningful way, because when someone watching like a stream or when someone's at a concert, they're very unique things that are taking place. But when someone places a hologram in their room, the biggest thing that's happening here is their room, because their room is not in the concert and their room is not in the Twitch stream. They're watching the stream in their room, but it's not engaging with it. Whenever we look at our flat rectangles, we only imagine that as a separate world. We don't really imagine it as a part of our world or contextually placed in our world. But when the hologram comes in the room, somehow this like really incredible thing happens where the space that's very intimate to you merges with this like more ethereal idea of like an artist you like on your screen or in a concert setting.
Yeah.
And I think same for the artist, like being able to see the insides of someone's like space and seeing them be like comfortable where they are, and then seeing yourself there when you're not there. You know, it's kind of a bizarre feeling.
For sure.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And one thing that I think often gets overlooked with immersive media, because, you know, for a while it was a really frothy term and people really wanted to like think of it as like this big, you know, like big wave, and the progression of media has been bigger video games, bigger movies, bigger TV. What I find so fascinating about XR content is the intimacy, is the ability to be really close and intimate. And going back to One, Asad, that was what I and many others just absolutely loved about your work and what you were playing with. And then Hana, what I've been able to see of what you're doing, you're thinking about new ways of activating this intimacy. You know, Jadu being sort of a big sort of XR version of that, but also you've really developed sort of a presence on Twitch and are thinking about new ways of activating your community. And so I think we've got about 5 minutes left. So I want to take the time to think about and hear from you, what is the potential for these new technologies that largely and loosely fall under XR, but maybe are, you know, adjacent, for engaging with fans and audiences in new ways and creating new, you know, new intimacies and new, you know, capacities for participation?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this so much and really experimenting with a lot of different things, and I'm so excited to see where we'll end up. I've been doing these DJ sets and sharing the address of a Minecraft server that I run, and inviting people that are watching to come and be in the room as my Minecraft character, which is just a green face so that I can key out the back, or so I can key out the walls of the room. So people will come into this space, and on the stream you see me, but then you also see all these different Minecraft characters jumping around. And that's something that's really fun. And I've just been experimenting with how to make that more interesting. And I really want to explore other ways to do that with like VR chat, or there's tons of different ways of doing that, honestly. And, you know, playing Animal Crossing with my fans and running around the island with people. And I'm really excited to see where we can push that. And I'm curious what you think about things like this, Asad. Like having like it would just be really cool to have my hologram somewhere in this equation.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think that, a lot of the stuff you're doing, even the fact that your background is what it is right now, I think of it as augmentation, right? Like also the ability to do it on this level, it's very new. Like, I feel like we take it for granted, but really like interactive Zoom backgrounds and just like live cutting you up and keying you out, wasn't as good a couple years ago. I think that with the holograms, the thing is, on one hand, it's just really expensive to produce. That's why in terms of us, like the way we're contextualizing it for the end user, it's this special object, this special one thing you get, and you download it and then you use it, so there's certain barriers to entry almost by purpose, so that there's certain value that you associate with hologram. But as this becomes both affordable and ability to do these kind of things live, like I think that that's going to have a really big impact on how people live in different places and still are able to feel each other's presence in a more meaningful way. So what we're doing on our part right now is that we're launching a newer version of Jadu over the next few months, in which there are just going to be more collection features and things like that. So you can collect holograms just like you would be collecting Pokemon cards. So there can be certain artificial scarcity around the holograms of your favorite artists. And then going from there, we want to start building more dynamic holograms. So, Hana, like the T-pose we captured with you, for example, we could have someone doing a dance that you weren't doing, and the T-pose could be like mimicking that. And it leads for more space for dynamic content that the viewers can have more control over. So those are the kinds of things that we are imagining for the next year or so.
Very cool and very trippy, kind of scary.
The scary part is also like, I know I say it out loud right now, but we're gonna make it, test it, think about whether this is a good idea in so many ways, and then get in touch with everyone, figure it out. It's gonna be a slow process.
Yeah.
Ethics with this stuff definitely poses a big discussion point, but it's a discussion point I'm going to send to the Q&A section. With the last little section here, if you could both share with folks how they can find you.
Absolutely. On Instagram, Twitter, I'm Hana Truly. You can find my music under just the name Hana, on Spotify, everywhere. On Twitch, I'm Hana Wins. And that's that.
So you can, I only really use Instagram. It's Asad Malik, and Jadu is Jadu Hologram, and you can download the app on the iOS App Store and hopefully on Android in roughly a month.
Ooh, exciting. Nice.
All right. Well, great news all around. Thank you both for doing this, and we'll carry this over to Q&A.